Hello everyone, this is the third episode of Econ Talks, and today our guest is Azizbek, who recently got an admission to Harvard Kennedy School, Master of Public Administration in International Development. Hello Azizbek, thanks, great to see you here. Can you please introduce yourself briefly? Where did you study?
So hello everyone, and thank you Hamrus for inviting me. I'm always very motivated to contribute, share my experiences with WIUT students. And yeah, so basically, briefly about me, I am Azizbek. So I'm a graduate of Westminster International University, Economics with Finance. I graduated in 2023. Mm-hmm. And since then, I've been working at the Central Bank of Uzbekistan in the Monetary Policy Department. So yeah.
Can you please share us the funniest moment where, as you were in your student life at WIUT, where at the Central Bank, I don't know, so it's maybe your student life or your at your workplace, the funniest moment in your life so far?
Well, as a student, there were a lot of funny moments, to be honest. It's difficult to pick one. But one thing that I particularly remember was, I guess, during my last year. I guess I was either in the third or last year. So there was an exchange program, and there were students from the UK, University of Westminster, coming to WIUT, and then we were having a conference. Mm-hmm. So one day. We organized it for them an evening because all of them were young people, and then we organized an event. We took them to the bar, and then we arranged a time to meet, but then I came late, so all of them were inside. But then when I came to the bar, the security guards said, "You're not allowed, you're underage." So I tried to prove them that I'm not underage. I guess I even showed them my student ID. They didn't believe, and then I had to call my friends, people who were inside. Then, please help me get inside. So yeah, it was very funny because all of them still remember this moment. And yeah, I guess this was because I maybe looked too young. Maybe I don't go to this place often. So yeah, I'd say this was the funniest moment that I still remember.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, it's great to hear that you have actually studied at Westminster International University in Tashkent. You said you have graduated Bachelor of Science in Economics as finance course. And it would be nice, it would be really useful for our students that if you can briefly share your experience in Economics as finance course.
Sure. So Economics as finance course, like everyone else, I studied it for the first time during the CFS year 2. I chose it as an optional. We studied exploring economics, and during that module, I was very curious about learning the supply and demand, yes. Money, interest rates, and I was very curious to discover what lies behind these concepts, and that's why I chose economics with finance. And I don't regret it. It is actually a very rigorous course. You have to study hard. You have to put a lot of effort, but at the end, it is worth it. So, it was. Even later, I discovered it was my passion. So, whenever I studied I took any new module, any new course, I was very enthusiastic, and I'm still learning. So I'm still a learner, even at the central bank. Even if I do applied things, I gain experience. I still learn a lot, and this is learning has been my lifelong ambition.
So economics is the most popular course. I mean, this is the most relevant course that you can work at the Central Bank of Uzbekistan or at the Ministry of Economics and Finance, at the Ministry of Industry and Trade, or Poverty Reduction, Presidential Administration. There are public offices. So it's actually, this is the most relevant course. Why, for example, why you specifically chose the Central Bank of Uzbekistan, not other public institutions? And how did you end up at the Central Bank of Uzbekistan? So your pathway from WIUT to the Central Bank of Uzbekistan.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I guess the first thing to say it correctly, I ended up in the central bank rather than choosing central bank, because like as a graduate or as a student, it depends on the luck as well. Yeah, like you're a student and you are not at the level where you can apply to any policy institution and get accepted, right? So it depends on your luck, on the circumstances. So when I was in my last year, in my end of the third year, I participated in IMF challenge. There was IMF challenge online, and then I took some courses related to macroeconomics on edX platform. And then we formed a group and we wanted to participate to this IMF challenge, but then it turned out that we couldn't finish the course on time, so we missed the deadline and we actually couldn't participate. But then I was lucky enough to participate in the CBU internship. There was an internship contest in the beginning of September, and then I applied. There were like a series of stages, we took the test, we went through the interview, and then I got admitted. So I won this scholarship. Then I was presented with a 9 months long opportunity to work at the central bank part-time. So I experienced the different departments. I got to know how CBU works, what they do, and I was very, I was very curious and interested in their work, especially in the monetary policy department's work, because this was a department where everybody works on themselves, tries to self-develop, and every time when every day I learned something new. So at least once a week there were seminars, there were people doing, covering some concepts, presenting it to others. So this is how I chose to stay at the central bank. So as a internee there, it's very easy. You get connections, you can showcase your skills. So I guess that's why I kind of ended up at the central bank. And it is one of the most relevant, like you said, public policy institutions where you can apply your macroeconomic skills and knowledge. That's why I chose this. Yeah.
2 days ago, actually, we met at the Central Bank of Uzbekistan at the guest lecture by Marko Skreb,
yes.
the very famous, very experienced central banker, huge experience in central banking. And then he was mentioning that, for example, working at the central bank is not easy. I mean, long hours, long working hours, immense pressure. I mean, you are making a history right now because the Uzbekistan is transforming, and then it's obvious that it's long working hours, immense pressure, that not everyone can handle this pressure. Not everyone can work under such kind of long working hours. So how do you handle, let's say, that long working hours, and then your family time? How do you spend your time, and then what's your motivation that you still keep working hard at such kind of environment at this prestigious organization?
Well, I would say it is indeed the case for many other government organizations, but I can witness that it's getting better. I can't say that the private sector is better, way better. Of course, there is more flexibility in terms of office hours or working hours, but in some cases, even in private sector, I have friends working in big four companies, and at times they stay up until night, so midnight. And I have some friends who actually transferred to central bank from there, and who said that office hours here are better. So it really depends. In the central bank, I would say it's better compared to other government organizations, because even if you work long hours, at least you are flexible. Now we're working with BCG consultancy, and we are doing a lot of transformations. And there's some news, for example, once a day you can take so-called security evening, so you can leave on time. so etc. And I hope in the future there will be like more flexibility in terms of that, but you cannot avoid in general like making it like 9 to 6. Of course you will be required to do some extra work. So regarding the how I handle this, of course it was difficult in the like beginning, because before that I was a student, I had a lot of time and I was like responsible for managing my own time, but here you have to commit a lot of your day at work. But like I said in the beginning, like adaptability is key. So you have to adapt to this working schedule if you like your job, of course, and handling like with regarding the family, like spending time with family or spending time for yourself. I guess most of my colleagues do it during the weekends, but unfortunately during the weekdays it's a bit challenging. So I have to admit that. But again, like there is like I'm optimistic that it will improve over time. Yeah.
Okay, nice. And then so probably more than a month ago that you announced that you have actually entered to the Harvard Kennedy School, Master in Public Administration in International Development Program. This is 2-year program. And then actually, so as far as I know that you have been admitted to the Duke University, you have been admitted to the Boston, New York University. So there are many universities, and then why you chose Harvard? Why Harvard?
So I have to be honest, like here, I haven't made my final decision yet, but yeah, Harvard is in my top list. So Harvard's program, MPID, like when I first saw this program, I didn't know what was it like. I had no idea. But then I checked on the website, and it was very much like a development economics or like a general economics program. I checked on the website, it says like you study advanced macro, advanced micro, econometrics, you have some development, policy related courses. So, and then I said it's very much relevant. That's why I applied. And it was one of the incentives that helped me to apply was the deadline was earlier than other universities. Like it had a deadline on December 1st, while other universities typically January 15th. That's why I had time. That's why I prepared and applied for Harvard. It is the program is in the HKS school, like Harvard Kennedy School, but my other universities, the programs are pure economics, so they are in economics department. But still, yeah, I'm still considering both, my choices, like Harvard and Duke specifically. But they're both good programs. They have good graduates, job placements, PhD placements. But yeah, I will hopefully figure it out. There's still a lot of time. But yeah, regarding the Harvard program, I would say yes. One of the motivation was our graduate who got into the same program 2 years ago. He's like Jahangir Sadiev.
Yes.
So yeah, I was very motivated, and like I watched his video on YouTube. There was like he did it with our WIUT stuff, and then he was like one of my motivations to apply as well.
That the student that you are telling that from WIUT to Harvard, another student, as far as I know that he studied business at WIUT. So he applied to economics. To the master's program. Yeah. So it's pretty much closed. That economics and then your program.
Yes.
And then actually about Harvard, so about in terms of the PhD stuff and then academics, that the professors who were there actually, I know that for example, the Barack Obama, one of the most popular president in the United States after the financial crisis of 2008, that his advisors actually work and teach at the Harvard, so great professors to get educated at such kind of institution. Yeah. And then actually about Harvard, there is another person I know, Batar Kabilov, who work at Harvard University right now as from Uzbekistan. So he worked at the Central Bank of Uzbekistan, and then he mentioned that that was actually major that played a key factor. I mean, let's say that to get PhD, and so working at the Central Bank of Uzbekistan was helpful. So what do you think? So what was the case in your case? What really helped you to get admission to Harvard in your case?
So regarding Batar Kabilov that you mentioned, yes, he worked at the Central Bank, and when I came to the Central Bank for the first time, he was the person who I regarded as my idol because he worked at the Central Bank, then he went to Duke, and then he went to do PhD at Harvard, and then he's now, I guess, working as a professor at the University of Texas, Austin. So, but yeah, so I guess my work experience played a big role. It was, I guess, without my work experience, I would not have been able to get admission. But if you like come from a developing country, and if you have good experience in a public policy institution, you can apply and you have a very high chance to get admitted, as long as you have good experience, you have like proof, and also you can explain it in essays. There were like actually 4 essays, like in total 2,500 words. You have to explain your leadership experience, you had to explain your motivation to study in this program, how relevant this program is, and you also were asked to present a policy challenge and then give solutions. So all of these essays, I based all of my experiences on my work experience at the Central Bank, all of my achievements that I did there. That's why I guess or Central Bank or any other public policy institutions is good to go, as long as you have you have contributed well enough to your job, to your country.
Yeah, so you also say that being admitted, getting an admission at Harvard Kennedy School as the main factor, you can say that this is your work experience at the Central Bank of Uzbekistan, right?
Yes.
And then final question, and as an ordinary student at WIUT, where in general, let's say that students who are studying at Uzbek universities, in general for students, those who want to follow your path, those who want to work at the Central Bank of Uzbekistan, those who want to get admitted to Harvard in their master's program or in their PhD, what would you suggest and your recommendations for those students?
So I would suggest the things that people suggested to me. Like, first of all, try. Don't be afraid.
Okay.
So if you don't try, you have 0 chances. If you try, you have at least higher than 0 chance, right?
Yes.
So first decision that I think was important, in terms of me, it was deciding to apply. I knew it was it would take a lot of time, especially doing your job there, working and dedicating time, sparing time for application is not easy. I would say it took me close to 1 year to prepare application to all of these universities, writing essays, revising them, having them read by my friends, by people who actually have good experience. So it takes a lot of time. So you have to make commitment to apply, and don't be afraid. Don't wait until you have perfect moment, perfect experience. Of course, as a student, without experience, it's difficult. But if you have at least 1 or 2 year experience, you can definitely apply. If you want to study at Harvard school, Kennedy School, you have to, read carefully through the website, research a lot, and especially I would advise connecting with students who study there or who were admitted there, because they went through this process and they know a lot. And of course, use your own experiences and leverage them, because every time when I get asked this question, who you took the references from, how did you write essays, I always say I wrote or I took references from people, from ordinary people. My first reference, professional reference, was from my not like chairman of the central bank. It was from my head of division, who is my direct supervisor. And then second one was from deputy chairman. So this person was my ex-director, and then he was promoted to deputy chairman. So they both gave good recommendations, and my third reference was from my academic supervisor, Ahmed Malikov. So you don't have to wait until you're at the level where you can get reference from a very high level official. So just do your best, write your essays in a persuasive way, and then do your best, do your research, and then apply. I guess this is the most important piece of advice I would give to students.
So thank you for separating time. It was really meaningful and informative conversation, and hopefully this is gonna be really helpful, useful for those people who want to follow your path, who want to work at the central bank, who want to study at Harvard or at prestigious universities in the world. Hopefully it's gonna be useful and helpful for those students. Thank you very much for separating time.
Thank you too. Thank you for inviting. It was nice to have a conversation with you.